Welcome to the Black Tower. I am your host, your guide, your friend, your brother, the Sorcerer Armanasul. Alright, I've been doing these videos on all things Necronomicon. Today, I want to go over some of the symbols, some of the tools, some of the seals and so forth and so on that are used, most particularly to the Gatewalker. You know, what are they? What do they mean? So forth and so on. All right, so to get down to it, each of you, I hope, have at least a paperback version of the Simon Necronomicon. Let's go to page 11. It's going to look something like this right here, without all the notes and stuff that I have put on it. At the top, you will notice there are three symbols: the Aura, the Aga, and the Bandar. Now, what are these symbols? These are the symbols of the three great watchers, Anu, Anki, and Enlil. They're symbolically representative. Now, I know the Bandar is of the watcher. The Aga is the magician. It's Anki. At any rate, but those three symbols, what are they? Okay, if you do a lot of reading in this book, it refers to the three seals of Mashu. What are the three seals of Mashu? Those are the three seals of Mashu. But before I can go a little bit further into that, let me explain to you about the Twin Mountains. You have the Mountains of Magic, which is the Mount Mashu. If you will, imagine a mountain with the point upward, and then the mountain in the underworld is downward. Okay, this is where I came up with the concept or the theory of pyramids, base to base, 1 point up, 1 point down. I've been going over with some of my fellow Gatewalkers, brothers, concerning a rite that I've created called the Rite of the Pyramids. That's neither here nor there, but it involves this right here. The concept works like this. Okay, so you have a Mountain Mashu, the Mountain of Magic. Okay, now it's the one that is tethered on this plane. Both mountains are tethered on this plane, but there's an entry. At the front of the entrance to this mountain, if you can astrally travel or you can visualize spiritual planes, so forth and so on, all you have to do is visualize a gigantic mountain whose peak resounds up in the clouds. Is it resounds, resides, abides, abounds, whatever? You get my point. Any rate, there is you would go to the base of the mountain, and there would be a huge hole in it. Well, to the left is a zenith, an obelisk, and it has these three seals on it. But instead of going across, they're like this. So it goes the Aura, the Aga, and the Bandar at the bottom. Now, this is to be visualized and seen by the Gatewalker. Now, let's say, for example, that you were working with one of the seven, okay? What you would do is you would walk into this mountain and you would visualize, the path or the walkway or the cavern going upward to the top of the mountain, where there would be an opening where you'd come out. This is where you'd reach up into the skies. These are where the seven zonai and the azonai abound, okay? So from here, you would do your magic with the seven gates, as is given in the Necronomicon. Now, the really interesting, cool thing about this is that if you do this previous to your workings, towards your gate walkings, visualize yourself entering into the mountain, going to the top, coming out to the top, and visualize yourself as on the top of the mountain. When you begin your gate walkings, the effect is astounding. Because, see, the idea of ritual isn't that we just do a ritual. We have to put ourselves into the mindset. We have to emotionally connect with it. We have to mentally connect with it. Okay? And so before each of your gate walkings, you would see this mountain, see the seals on the obelisk. You would enter in, and there would be a winding path upward to the top of the mountain, where it'd come out to some kind of cave opening on the very top, and then you'd come out to a flat plateau overlooking a cliff downward. The reason why is because if you think of Jim Morrison's Stairway to Heaven, you kind of got the idea here. Now, I'm not old enough to know Jim Morrison, but I am old enough to have heard Jim Morrison. However, that's neither here nor there. But everything that you do in your gate walkings, everything you do in magic in general, you have to inspiration. Whether it's music, whether it's a really cool imagination, whatever. You want to employ all these tools into your ritual, because see, you're trying to connect with the magic. You're trying to connect with these spirits, with these beings, in any way, shape, form, or fashion that you possibly can. And this is one of the ways. Now, a very interesting concept is you would work your way upward if you were working with the 7. Okay, these are the 7 ascending steps. Okay, I've even referred to a 7-step ziggurat, or a step pyramid, where you would enter in the bottom of it. You would see a temple in the bottom towards the first gate. You would walk it, and then you would see like a ramp or something going up on the back side, and then you'd go up to the second gate, so forth and so on. It doesn't matter how you do it, okay? But this is how we're going to employ the different concepts found within the Simon Necronomicon, is the Mountain of Mashu, the Mountain of Magic. And this is how we're going to connect with the Mountain of Magic. Now, for me, there is an old man who abides within this mountain. And a good 16, 17 years ago, when I first conceptualized that the Mountain of Magic is an actual place on the plains, I went there. And whether I created it in my mind or whether it really exists, that's not a question. That's just, that is what that is. But I noticed that as soon as I entered into the mountain, that there came a guide of sorts. Came through there, introduced himself, so forth and so on. And it's a secret name. It's a name that was given to me by this being, by this guide. Okay? I won't go into that because, he might give you a different name. And that's fine. That's, we're not comparing notes on, he called himself this, he called himself that. It's not important what he calls himself, but he is your guide, and he will walk you through the steps. It's also, it wasn't long after I was introduced to my watcher that I found this mountain and found this guide. You will find that the names given to you by different beings, sometimes they're names that you're just like, what? What people did you come from? What I don't even know what you call it, like if it was an Arabic name, or if it was an Egyptian name, or if it was this name or that name, Christian, Jewish, whatever. But, it's going to be different. But the thing behind this is that, this guide came and walked me through it and told me that there was a secret way. Well, me being the kind of person I was curious as hell. What do you mean, secret way? Oh, I want to know this. Because secret to us in this day and age represents something, I know something you don't know type thing. But in the heart of it, in the heart of your heart, you're going to look at it as like, wow, I'm being showed mysteries, things I wasn't aware of, things I didn't know existed. And that's what you want to tap into. You want to tap into that kind of awe, that kind of inspiration. And at any rate, so this old man was telling me that there was a secret way. Fast forward about 6-7 years into working with this old man who was showing me the different steps and everything else and was showing me how to work this. He still hadn't showed me the secret way he was talking about. I couldn't figure out, okay, if there's a secret way, where's the secret way? Now, mind you, from the moment I stepped into this mountain, I could feel as if I was being watched, as if there was things or thing in the recesses, in the darkness, that were watching me. Not like intimidating, trying to scare me, but like I was being watched. And yet this old man was standing right there with me, and I'm like, well, if you're here, who or what is watching me? Now, in the Necronomicon, it talks about the Scorpion Man, that, that he betrayed us, but that, secrets were gained through him or whatever. Well, like I said, fast forward 6-7 years. All of a sudden, there was a scorpion-like man, made himself very apparent. Stepped out of the shadow after seeing me for I don't know how many years move around with this old man that was telling me things, showing me things, you know, while I did my astral workings in this mountain. This being finally came out and showed himself. And it was interesting because I asked him, I was like, who are you? What are you? He's like, I'm a servant of the Ancient Ones. I was like, Ancient Ones? You mean like the elder gods? No, Ancient Ones, the ones who lie sleeping. I was a bit confused at this because I was like, okay. Because the first thought came to my mind is this a spirit trying to trick me or fool me or, what's going on? Because by this time I had trusted the guide that made himself apparent, told me his name and everything. And, I did Kabbalah on his name and everything else, Gematria or whatever you want to call it, trying to see, if there's a truth to a spirit. Because when I say they test the spirits thereof, they're not talking about, put them in a triangle and force them to tell you the truth or some ungodly power is going to destroy them with names and so forth. No. But you take into effect that if a spirit appears and it's, arrayed in certain colors or certain characteristics, and it tells you that it's of something, well, you go and you look it up and you're like, that color and that doesn't connect, then they're lying. Okay? But you can also take whatever colors that they're in or anything like that and find out their true intention, what they really come from on concerning the spheres, on the tree of life and so forth and so on. But anyway, let's not get too carried away into all of that. So he tells me that he knows a secret way. And I was a bit confused at this because I'm like, are you lying to me? You trying to trick me? He said, no, I know of the Ancient Ones and where they sleep. He's like, but they are deep below. And I was like, deep below? Well, this mountain only goes up. He said, no, there's a secret way. Surely the old man has told you this. And I was like, yeah, but I thought he was going to show me. He says, he knows of the way, but he cannot tell you about it. I was like, holy shit. Okay, so he knows about it, but he can't tell me. It reminds me of a few spirits where it says, they know of such and such, but it is unlawful for them to tell you, or that they cannot tell you. And so, what this being was telling me, I was like, okay, I'll go along with this. And he showed me a secret passageway that led down and down and down and down. And there was a gigantic double door, side by side. It was wrought in iron and old wood that looked like it had faced eons. Ages had passed, as if it had never been opened. And he says, this is the way below. This is where the Ancient Ones lie sleeping. Now, interestingly enough, the same three symbols that were on the obelisk outside were now above, in stone above the doorway. And they were those three symbols, side by side, not top to bottom, but sideways. He says, this is the secret way. And I was like, well, how do I open the door? And he's like, when it is time, you'll know. Well, you gotta love some cryptic motherfuckers. Want to tell you that you can do something, but then don't tell you anything about how to do it. I love that. Well, not really. Insert sarcasm anywhere in there. So it kept gnawing at me, kept annoying me, and I was like, I would notice that sometimes I could go into the mountain, and I couldn't get his attention, couldn't even get him to come, no matter how much I called him. And then sometimes he would. Well, I had been reading into the Necronomicon about the Scorpion Man, and it was talking about, that they can't come out during certain times, that they can't be called, and I was like, oh, holy shit. Because he had been keeping notes on what time of day or night I'd been working with and so forth and so on, and come to find out it was true that he would only come out during certain times. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. So once again, the things in this, it held to it. And I thought it was really interesting because at first I was wondering, is this a spurt of imagination that, I'm screwing myself? No, it was a real thing. But now, something rather interesting. I kept coming to this door and kept coming to this door, kept coming to this door and trying to get it to open. And it would not open to save my life. Could not get it to open. I would even call upon the Scorpion Man and be like, that door open. He says, well, when the time comes, you will know how to open that door. Well, let me tell you something. I done some pretty stupid shit trying to get that door open. I cut myself, sealed it with blood, trying to get it open by my will, by my desire. That door would not open. Well, I kept reading into the Necronomicon, and it was talking about the times of sleep. And most importantly, about the sleep of Marduk. Because, see, Marduk is symbolic in the night sky as Orion, the great hunter. And something rather interesting is that to the side of him is the Big Dipper, which in that time was known as the Great Bear, hunter, bear. So it was rather interesting. Well, then I went to noticing that the changing or the passing of seasons did have something to do with it. In the fall and the winter, when the bear sleeps or hibernates or hangs from its tail, I could feel a call to this door. Well, I went to the door, and the door still would not open. Wouldn't open for anything I tried. I tried calling upon the ancient ones, the elder gods. I was calling upon anything to open this door. This door would not open. One day I was going through the Necronomicon, and I had been researching, trying my best to figure out, why does this door not open? And then it dawned on me. Oh, you idiot. You have got to be dressed for the occasion. You've got to have the right tool for the right job. And as a Boy Scout, and I was a Boy Scout, be prepared. Ooh. So what did Daddy do? Daddy went back to the book to do some research. So I was looking through there, and I was finding symbols. Now on page 11, you're going to run across what is known as the Amulet of Ur. Now, in there, it talks about how it was found in a fire and all this other stuff, and it's got to be made of silver, and some must never touch it, and all this other stuff, so forth and so on. Well, I didn't know how to do this, because I didn't have no silver. But you know what I did have? I had a silver marker. So what did I do with my silver marker? I went and I drew it on my left hand. Well, after trial and error, I was standing there at the door still, and the door would light up and vibrate, and I knew I was onto something. Still, the door would not open. And I was like, now how am I going to get this bad boy to open? Ooh. And being clothed, he is likened unto the goddess. What does that mean? Well, let us go to the descent of Inanna, where it talks about the seven gifts, and it talks about laying them down. Well, guess what? Before you come to that door, what must you do? You must be dressed for the occasion. You must have a tool for it. Now, so what did I do? Okay, so I drew the amulet of Ur on myself. Now, if you will turn to page, give me a minute here. I gotta find where I hid it, and I did hide it. Apparently, hid it for myself. Starting on page 112, with the crown of Anu, with the frontlet of calling, with the dagger of Inanna. Now, I had my black robe. I had my white cord, 2. And those 3 make 5. Amulet of Ur was 6. Something was still missing. For some reason. Even dressed for the occasion. And then I remembered something. That there was a bracelet of Inanna, of Ishtar. Guess what? 3 seals in my shoe. The Ara, the Aga, and the Bandar. And once I drew it upon my left forearm, amulet of Ur on my left hand, and then drew the frontlet of calling where it was supposed to have been, made my little paper crown because all I had was paper. That's what I had, was paper. Dagger of Inanna. Yeah, that was pretty easy to emulate. I took a steel blade with copper and brass fittings, and I etched into the copper the symbols. And there I stood before this gate, completely in array, everything else. And something was missing. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I would, meanwhile, talking to the old man and talking to the Scorpion Man, I was like, I've cleansed and prepared myself, I stand here. You know not the words. Oh my God, what do you mean I don't know the words? Well, dude, give me the words. Come on now. Don't leave me hanging here. I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 months now. Give me the words, Summer will be here. Spring will be here. I really want to get through this door. Oh, you remember what they say, after winter comes summer, and after summer comes winter, right? If you think about it in this way, think of it like thanks to my wife, I've kind of looked at it this way, because she's a witch, I look at it like this right here. It has everything in the world to do with the grain. When you plant seeds, when you raise them, and when you have to harvest them. And because of this, think of the soul as the same way. The human soul as being grains that are within the earth. So if you can catch that concept of how we are seeds that are planted, but first the soil prepared as we are in the womb of our mother. That's the soil being prepared. Seed planted, from the womb to the father impregnating the mother, which is seed being planted, to the growing into a sprout, which is, a woman being pregnant, belly stuck out, so forth and so on. So you can see this. Well, this is the exact same concept that you need when messing with the Necronomicon, when dealing with it, when working it. But still, here I was again. Like, okay, well, if I don't know the words. Well, then I had a rather interesting concept. So what did I do? I went to the Magan text. Oh, the descent of Anana. Get to the calling, and you find that there's a calling to Nengazita, serpent of the deep. That was the missing key. That was the key that opened the door. And yet I found myself unable to move past the door, even though I had called upon Nengazita. And I asked why. Why can I not pass this gate? Why can I not enter? You have not walked the heights. And you cannot walk the depths if you have not reached the heights. Now, me being the kind of person I am, left-hand path practitioner, sorcerer, supreme, and all this other good shit, I thought about something. And this may sound really stupid. I thought about the fall of a third of the angelic host. I thought of it. And I thought, holy shit. Climb to the heights and fall. And it took me back to my druidic practices that I had years before practiced into shamanism. And it dawned on me all of a sudden. Do as the dragon did. Fall and let go. Let the river take you away. Removing from you all things that you have known. Till you are born anew. And that's when it dawned on me. You have to live. You have to truly live. You have to truly climb to heights. It's not just a cleansing and a purification process of these gate walkings. You are climbing to the heights. And from there you must fall. From there you must let go. And I felt like a fool. And that is how I learned how to walk the gate of Ganzir. Now, I have heard a lot of people say that you're not supposed to tell this kind of stuff to anybody. But you're not just anybody, are you? You're daring. You're willing. You're wanting it. You're needing it. You're desiring it. If I consider myself a brother, if I consider myself a sorcerer, if I consider myself a priest, if I know something, why would I hold on to it? Why would I keep it for myself? That's selfish. That's stupid. Do you know how come we don't know the things from the past? It wasn't just because people were killed off. It wasn't because one kingdom came in, destroyed a kingdom, lowered it to the ground, salted the earth, made sure nobody would rebuild on it ever again, and then built their own kingdom. Gods were replaced by the new gods as Victor took over Victor. No. It was because somewhere in that, somebody thought, oh, this is too sacred, too holy. I got to give this to myself. Well, that's true. It is sacred. It is holy. But if you don't teach what you know to others, if you don't share your knowledge, it will die. You're not doing the world a great favor holding on to it. You're denying them their chance at ascension, at evolution. That's why I do what I do. That's why I make these videos. Now, I know you're going to have to go back and rewatch this video, but I gave the keys. Watch, listen, take notes. But until then, I wish each and every one of you a beautiful motherfucking day. Peace and blessings.